Hi everyone, here is your review for Unit 3, Lesson 6, Divide Rational Numbers. Okay, so first off we've got some key words. These are listed and defined in your lesson as well, but I think they're important for us to know and be able to use in conversation when it comes to division. So, first off we have dividend. Alright, I've always loved that word for some reason. Dividend, that's the number that's being divided. Okay, so like in long division, that would be like the number that's under that division symbol. Okay, the divisor, so let's see, I'll put some arrows to help us. The divisor is the number dividing into another number. So in this case, I'll just say 2. Okay, so this would be the divisor. Okay, the quotient is the answer to a division problem. So in this case, 10 divided by 2 is 5. So the quotient is the answer. Okay, so those are just important terms for us to know and to recognize. Now, one nice thing about this lesson is it's very similar to the multiplication lesson. All of the rules that we need to remember are the same. Oh, I love it, right? And multiplying and dividing with positive and negative numbers is so much easier than adding and subtracting, right? So let's go over those rules again. I do have them written down here. So a positive divided by a positive is a positive. That's just like the original division that you learned years ago, okay? Negative times a negative is also positive, all right? So this is when the signs are the same, okay? When the signs are the same, you get a positive answer, right? So negative 2 divided by negative 2 is positive 5. When the signs are different, that's when you get a negative answer. So again, just like the multiplication rules that we wrote down, all right? So let me just write that too. So when the signs are different, okay? So that's really helpful, right? In my previous video, we talked about the distributive property, which you can use in multiplication, right? So, but I wanted to make a reminder about commutative and associative properties. We talked a lot about, since the beginning of the school year, right? We've talked about the commutative and associative properties of addition, and we've talked about the commutative and associative properties of multiplication. That does not work, okay? Do not work for subtraction nor division. Okay? Does not work for subtraction and division. Okay? So keep that in mind. You can't move the order like you can with addition and multiplication. Alright? That's what that's getting at. And there's a question about that on your quick check, so make sure that you remember. Okay? Alright, let's go into some of our examples. And I hope you're writing these down. As a reminder, I take them directly from your practices and your quick checks. So they're very, very helpful and applicable to today's lesson. Alright? So number 1, negative 9 divided by 27. So there's a couple different ways that I could write this. And there's a couple different ways you'll see it in your lesson, but also when you get into higher levels of math, okay? Whether it's this year, next year, or in high school. So we could say negative 9 divided by 27. That's totally fine. That is also the same thing as saying negative 9 over 27, okay? Which, I don't know, side note, with the division symbol, notice it's like there's like a little dot that holds the spot for a number, and there's one down here, and then the line in between. Look at right here, right? There's a number, kind of like the dot in the division symbol. There's another kind of like the dot. Okay, so that means division. The fraction bar actually signifies division. So in this case, first thing we need to think is, okay, well, I have a fraction. 9 is less than 27, right? So I'm either going to have a decimal, or I could write it as a fraction. Another thing I need to see is that I have two different signs. I have a negative number and a positive number. So that means my answer is going to be negative, right? When our signs are different, the answer is negative. Okay? I'm just going to keep my answer as a fraction, and I'm pretty sure that's what they do in your quick check, if I remember correctly. I don't have it up right now, so I can't check. But we can think, okay, what do 9 and 27 have in common? Right? I can reduce both of those by 9. 9 goes into both of them. So 9 divided by 9 is 1. 27 divided by 9 is 3, giving me a final answer of negative 1/3. If you needed to convert it to a decimal, you could divide 1 divided by 3, and you'd get to a repeating decimal, actually, of 1.3 repeating. Okay, number 2. 11 divided by negative 4. So again, I could say 11 divided by negative 4. I like to put parentheses around there. It's not completely necessary, but it kind of shows us this is a negative number. It's not just a division symbol right next to a subtraction symbol. Okay? I could also write this as a fraction, which is a really good habit to get into. 4 doesn't go in perfectly, but the first thing I can recognize is I have a positive divided by a negative. So once again, my answer is going to be negative. And then I can think to myself, well, how many times does 4 go into 11? If I count by 4s, I have 4, 8, and then I get up to 12. That's too many, right? So I'll write over here, I'll say 4, 8, 12, right? If I use 2 4s, I get to 8. So I use 2 whole 4s. Well, how many, if I'm at 8, how many do I have left over until I get to 11? 3 more out of 4. Ooh, I was so close, right? But, so you could write that as negative 2 3/4. And maybe you have this memorized. It would be good if you do. I could also write that as negative 2.75, but I don't think that's how it's written on your quick check. So, okay? Or practice. Okay, number 3, which of the following does not have the same value as the others? So this is kind of putting the rules to the test. Well, this was supposed to be kind of like in front. These were supposed to be on the same line. I have negative 3/7, okay? So really there's just one negative symbol, right? So this would be a negative answer. On this one I have a negative divided by a negative, right? Well, that means my signs are the same, so my answer is going to be positive. This one I have a positive divided by a negative, so that gives me a negative answer because my signs are different. This one I have a negative divided by a positive, giving me a negative answer. Okay? So, to answer the actual question, which of the following one does not have the same value as the others? That would be this one. Okay? Because the answer would be positive. Alright, number 4. This time we have 3 numbers. Okay? So, first one, 56 divided by negative 4. Okay? And with the order of operations, right, if you remember order of operations, when you have like multiplication and division, those are on the same level as each other. But so since I have division in 2 spots, I'm just going to go in the order that I see them. Okay? So 56 divided by negative 4. You might be thinking like, I don't know. I have no idea what 56 divided by negative 4 is. Well, first I know that it is a positive divided by a negative. So I can go ahead and put a negative right there. And then, I don't know, let's just do it off to the side. 56 divided by 4. Okay, well, 4 goes into 5 one whole time. I used 4 out of the 5, so I have 1 left over. I'll drop my next place value down. 4 goes into 16 4 times. I used it perfectly with nothing left over. So 56 divided by 4 is 14. Okay, so that's that. But then I also have to apply that that next division sign. Now I have a negative divided by a negative. Well, my signs are the same now, which means my answer is going to be positive. And then 14 divided by 2, you can do 14 divided by 2, that's 7. So your final answer on this one would be 7. I hope that helps you get started, and as always, I'll see you in live lesson, and if you need any extra help, let me know.